Emma Ruth Rundle, Engine of Hell album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about the latest from Miss Emma Ruth Rundle. She's an LA-based singer-songwriter, and over the last few years she has touched down on a lot of different styles of music, a lot of different styles of metal and singer-songwriter, and even some more experimental stuff. She's done a lot over a little bit of time. And around the time of her Electric Guitar 1 album is kind of where I, started to pay attention to her music. Even if I wasn't wild about it, I thought some of the, studio trickery was interesting here. But it was like the tension in her music and the drama that actually, made me come back for seconds a little bit more down the line. Personally, for me, it was Some Heavy Ocean, her follow-up, that really started making me become a fan of her music. This was a very monolithic and dreary and gloomy folk album. Honestly, fans of your Chelsea Wolves, your Marissa Nadler, even some maybe, Zoologies would enjoy this album. And by the time 2016's Mark for Death came along, I honestly thought Emma was, at the forefront of these genres that she was touching down on. I mean, this album absolutely ripped. She was right there with her contemporaries. I also thought On Dark Horses was one of her more triumphant albums. Now, last year she released May Our Chambers Be Full alongside Thou, which honestly I got more requests to review than probably any other album last year. And you know what? It's certainly not bad. As a matter of fact, there's some moments on there that are really, really exciting. But I don't think it's perfect. I think it's even a little overrated in parts. Now, that being said, I've been on a big Emma Ruth Rundle kick lately, like I said in my Marissa Nadler review a few days ago. Something about this time of year just gets me into those moods, to listen to those artists, your Chelsea Wolfe, your Marissa Nadler, and Emma has been on rotation quite a bit lately. And hearing the singles lead up to this new album, honestly, I was a little let down. Let's chat about this thing. And you know what? I'm just going to say it right off the bat. Personally, this album is not for me. This album starts off with Return, and I hate to be that guy, but this is just not what I come to the table for when it comes to Emma's music. I commend this for sure. I mean, her bluesy, smoky vocals are pretty stunning. And I commend her lyrics here. Her vocals are fine too, like I said. But I can't stress enough just how boring this piano instrumental is, and it doesn't really progress at all. It's not nearly as emotional as anything lyrically here. Even vocally, by the end of this track, I'm just not into it. The company is also just not captivating me at all, and trust me, there are moments on this album that really do captivate me. And I will say this, one constant throughout the album is the lyrics. I think it's a pretty well-wrote album all around. But a lot of these instrumentals, including this one on the company, is just too stripped down. It's a little too light on the ears, so much so that the dark tones of this track and this album just kind of flutter away. I genuinely don't remember anything about this track as soon as it's done with, and I feel bad saying that because I could tell just how much this album means to Emma. When it comes to Razor's Edge, I'm so sick of hearing a lot of these same sounds over and over again. Trust me, rainy day folk music is a big love of mine. It's something that I'm truly passionate about, but hearing so much of it back to back to back to back with no real branching out, it's exhausting even for me. And this album's not short either. It's pretty long, but the longer that it goes on, the less offensive it becomes, and honestly, the more faceless. And In My Afterlife, as a finale, I don't think it's the worst sin committed here. I don't think it's that bad of a track, but it also sounds like, Emma Ruth Rundle was brought on to do the theme song for the latest Dark Pictures anthology game. It's truthfully not that bad, but once again, hearing this over and over and over, track after track, I'm exhausted. And the thing is, I feel like almost every track here, if they were sprinkled in amongst maybe one of her heavier albums or darker albums, it really would have stolen the show, because a lot of the material here is pretty good, but hearing so much of this style back to back, I don't know, I need a little bit more. Don't get me wrong though, when this album is good, it's actually pretty good. Like Blooms of Oblivion, as a single, it's actually grown on me quite a bit. I remember when I first heard this, I almost fell asleep. I do like the very gothic tinged riff here. It almost reminds me of something out of the lines of Chelsea Wolfe's Apocalypsis. Between that and this bleak atmosphere and the whisper quiet vocals, yeah, this works pretty nicely. As a matter of fact, for a few minutes here, I genuinely get what she was aiming for. Also, it's genuinely as tender and emotional as anything else on this album. From a sheer beauty stance, I think Body is maybe the best track here. And I will say this, if you're not into this on your first listen, do give it a few more. Like, I absolutely despised this album the first couple of times I heard it. It took me 3 or 4 listens to enjoy at least a couple of tracks. And that's not just me, going through a case of Stockholm Syndrome. There's actually some legitimate beauty to this track. It's haunting, it's tortured, it's bluesy as hell. It's also one of the most genuinely dark tracks here. Dancing Man, on the other hand, has the drama of a lot of early Emma projects. I love how icy cold this comes off. I love how bleak this is. And Emma's vocals, they are absolutely killer, but I think the real story on Dancing Man is this sounds like an Emma Ruth Rundle track. This sounds like a track that would have been on maybe one of her last 2 albums, sprinkled in amongst some of the gloomier and heavier and grittier tracks. Not only that, but it would have fit right in. And all around, I think Citadel is the best track here. This whole track is this great metaphor for the heart being a fortress and having a guard up, and it's really visual, it's really intense, and just really likable. On all fronts, this is where this album should sound. Even instrumentally, it just sounds so full of fleshed out, and just, it's actually really a powerful tune. This album, it's not for me, sadly, overall. Even though it's very well written, it's fairly well performed, and I get what Emma was going for, but I think it's just a little too much of these drawn out, stripped down, lush piano ballads. I think, if you take 1 or 2 of these and sprinkle them throughout her discography, it's actually going to make for some really impactful stuff. But hearing it back to back, it's too much. It's too much for me. And you might love this, and I get it, because there's a lot to love here, but it's too much for me. I'm feeling a light 6 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.